Hey, and welcome back to Animation Study Group, the series where I, a beginner in animation, encourage you to follow along as I work my way through this, the Animator Survival Kit by Richard Williams. This is episode 17, and today I'm going to be working through a walk cycle where the character approaches the camera head-on. In the last video, I spoke about how I've been getting pretty tired of walk cycles, but as it turns out, the next quarter of the book is all walk cycles in one way or another. So it looks like I will probably do quite a few more. But the section of the book that I read between the last video and now covers a whole bunch of concepts, so I think I'm going to try to condense as many of those concepts as I can into this next exercise so that I can kind of jump ahead and not have to draw an exercise for everything the book goes over. I think if you want to go in depth, it's worth it to pick up a copy of the book. Richard Williams goes into things like the flow of the hands specifically, the flow of the feet specifically, how you can kind of break limbs in funny ways or contort limbs in funny ways throughout a walk cycle to give the walk cycle exaggerated life and energy. And I don't have it in me to get super in depth into those concepts on my first go through of this book. I think this is a section of the book I will come back to and reference a lot as I'm trying to create things in the future. And I go, oh, right, there was that concept back then that I can reference now and really delve into. But for now, I'm just trying to kind of get a condensed version of the book, make it through the entirety of it, and see how I end up on the other side of that process. Hopefully that makes sense. What I'm going to do specifically with this walk cycle, like I said, it's going to be head on, so the character is coming directly at the camera. I'm also going to try to incorporate some of the tips from the foot and hand motion. So the feet, I'm going to try to focus on how they leave the ground, tilt back before they kind of flop back down and make contact again. Hopefully that comes through. I'm going to focus on how the hands swing and arc like a pendulum. I'll try to get that into this exercise. I'm also going to use a couple of the tricks that Richard Williams goes over that should help add some extra life into this walk cycle. One of the things that he recommends where you tilt the shoulders opposite from the hip tilt and you curve the body kind of exaggerated so that it follows the tilt of the shoulders and the tilt of the hip. I'm also going to have this character tilt its head from side to side. Another concept that I think I'll try to focus on while I draw for this exercise is moving the shoulders front and back, which will kind of start the arm swing. Much like many of the videos so far, I started this one with a thumbnail sketch, and I'll get that up on the screen right now. This is the sketch I'll be starting off with. One thing I've noticed about the book is that Richard Williams will kind of introduce a concept and he'll give a few thumbnail sketches for what that animation cycle will look like. Then the text will elaborate on the concept or add something new, and you'll get more in-betweens or more passing poses, but with a different concept sort of added in. In the part of the book where he introduces the head tilt and the hips to shoulder curve, there's only 3 sketches. So that's all I'm starting with here. You've got your contact positions on the left and on the right. You'll see there you've got the shoulders tilting down this way and the hips tilting down this way, and the curvature of the body is sort of exaggerated, and the opposite is true with the opposite contact pose. In the middle, you've just got the passing pose. So right in the middle, you're bringing that back leg from the contact position across the body. I'll start with this thumbnail sketch, and I'm going to add a down position. I'll add an up position, and those will fall here for the down and here for the up. And then I will do an in-between between all of those main drawings. So you've got your contact point, in between, down, in between, passing pose or breakdown, in between, up, in between, contact point or extreme. That's going to be one full step in 9 frames, and I'll animate that in 12 frames per second. So if you are following along, if you are kind of trying to learn these concepts as well, I would take this idea as your jumping off point. I draw a better thumbnail sketch than what I started off with. I usually use something pretty rough. A, because I'm not the best at drawing, and B, because I polish it up in the animation software a little bit. I don't mind kind of manipulating the drawing if I have to. So this sketch I'm going to have to move around and tilt in order to make it work, and I think you'll probably see that happen as I jump into the next section. But yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm going to jump over into the typical sped up animation section of the video. You'll see what I did with this thumbnail sketch. At the end, we can take a look at how the final animation came out. So I'll see you on the other side. Okay, here is the final animation. It's really cool for me to see the end result from that thumbnail sketch of 3 rough poses to this, which to me looks pretty smooth. I feel like the smoothness of my walk cycles are improving every time. I'll just take a second to run through all the things that I tried to focus on and what sort of worked and what sort of didn't work. I think I did an okay job with the feet. I think maybe they don't maintain their shape and volume quite as well as I'd like them to, and neither do the legs. I tried to make the perspective make sense, and I think especially with this step right here, you've got the leg kind of it doesn't approach the screen in a way that looks completely believable. I think I could probably tighten that up, but I do really like the way the feet flow. So they kind of push across the ground and then they bend at the contact point and they sort of flop into the next contact position, which is something I was really trying to focus on. And especially over here, I feel like I am really seeing that effect. And with the hands as well, what I tried to do was make them very flowy and kind of move like a pendulum. There's a little bit of jaggedness maybe right there, but other than that, I think they flow pretty well. While I was animating, I started with the motion of the head. The only thing that I think I struggled with was how high up I wanted the up to be. And so the shoulders kind of deform. It sort of looks like the head is maybe like flopping or bowing, when really I wanted it to look more like a jaunty head tilt. And another thing that I kind of forgot to focus on, but now that I'm watching the animation cycle, I really wanted the shoulders to push forward opposite each step, and you can see I really didn't do that. I think next time I'll focus on that, and I think that's going to work really nicely. It just looks like the body is kind of deforming left and right. It's sort of just collapsing. But I think if I drag that shoulder forward opposite the step, it would really give the body a little more like weight and three-dimensionalness. I think I'm going to take this and polish it up. I might turn it into a character like I did with the last one where I made it Gene from Bob's Burgers. But I think this is enough for this video. I'll go ahead, export this. I'll maybe get it on Instagram and see if people have input as to what character I should make this into. And if you guys have any suggestions, I'm thinking either Bender from Futurama or maybe Finn from Adventure Time. And that'd give me some good drawing practice as well, and maybe give me a chance to polish up some of the things I don't like about the walk cycle. Well, as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I noticed since the last video went up, I've seen an uptick in people following along and subscribing, and I really appreciate that, so thank you. And like I said, I am kind of in walk cycle hell with this book. It seems like the book in one form or another is walk cycles for the foreseeable future. And I'm sure all this practice is really gonna add up, but I just want to animate something else. So we'll see how much I start to condense these walk cycles and try to move on to other subjects and other things to animate. But I think in the next video, I might do either an angry walk or a sneak. That seems like the next two big highlights. There's also kind of a culmination of the last section of the book. I might try that. I'll see how much I lump into the next video. I hope that you are enjoying the animation process out there too, or just enjoying following along. And until next time, take care.